Hi everyone, my name's Audrey Butcher and I'm going to be talking about an instance of assessment that I observed. And this was presented to me by Emma Gold, who is the student ambassador for the Teachers College at the West Campus. And she was teaching some students at a craft table during the ASU West's powwow event on Saturday, November 11th, and she was teaching them how to make popsicle stick and pipe cleaner little insect bugs. Her assessment was to see whether or not they could put together the said bug after she had taught them how to make one, and if they were able to put their own spin on it or make it their own. And the kids ranged from about 3 to 12 years old, and the skill levels were also kind of across the board. As Emma went through assessing her students, she kind of changed her tactics for each child as she assessed each learner's skill level and needs. According to Obie and Sapp, authors of Diagnostic Assessment on the Effective Ways of Assessing Learning, they point out that diagnosing a child's knowledge and skill level at the beginning helps guide the instruction. As Emma went from child to child, she would first see she would first see if they would be able to look at the model and kind of pick it up on their own and start with some supplies. If she didn't see that they started on their own, she would kind of start to ask questions like, have you made something like this before? Do you know what this is? Sometimes she would even ask questions like what the child's favorite color of pipe cleaner was, just to see if they were even developmentally ready for the task. The question might have seemed irrelevant at first, but it not only set the tone for the child, but it also helped her gauge where their kind of learning skills were. And if they didn't know colors even, they might need more attention and help than other students in her group. Along with being diagnostic assessments, Emma's assessments were also formative in that they were very informal and mostly verbal, in the form of asking questions and revisiting the lessons when a mistake or help was needed. The formative assessment has a direct impact on material and teaching strategies because she had to kind of revisit that lesson. And that is something that Obie and Sapp also said in chapter 15 of our book. Her assessment could also be considered a dynamic assessment because there's sort of a pre-questioning, some during and after assessing of the knowledge and skill level. I would have to say that I do agree with the way that she approached her assessments for a couple of different reasons. One, because our students are in a huge age range, and most of them who are on the younger range aren't in school yet, so they don't really understand assessment or testing quite yet. So it makes sense why she wouldn't test them like they're in school. Another thing that's really nice about the way that she set up her class is that she didn't time her students on how long it took them to make something. She didn't rush them, and there was more than one right answer in her book based on the skill level of the student. And one of the biggest questions asked in chapter 16, the purposes, approaches, and tensions in assessment and policy practice, is why we do time the students when testing, especially since the quality over quantity thing is becoming really necessary in our school and our workforces and our group settings. So it was really nice to see that she didn't try to rush these kids through making this craft. I think that the only thing I would suggest for Emma would be maybe to remind the students that it's okay if it doesn't look like the model that she made or the one she was doing with them as she was teaching, or even if it looked different than the kid sitting right next to them. Kathy Hall of chapter 16 reminds us that we can't assess learners to help them while also assessing them to pin them against each other or to compare them to their peers at the same time. We just can't do that simultaneously and get both jobs done at the same time. So if we are trying to compare them, we're not getting any real help or sustenance in our lessons. And so that is the assessment that I observed, and I thank you for watching my video.